Most of us never question it. When two people get married, the ring goes on one very specific finger, the fourth finger of the left hand. Not the thumb, not the index finger, not even the right hand. Just that one. And almost everyone accepts it as if it's some ancient rule of nature. You've probably heard the explanation before, that this finger has a special vein, a vein of love that runs straight to the heart. It sounds romantic. It sounds poetic. And honestly, it sounds exactly like the kind of story humans would invent for marriage. But here's the strange part. Modern anatomy says that vein doesn't exist. There is no special vein connecting that finger directly to the heart, which raises an uncomfortable question. If the biology isn't real, why did the tradition stick? Why did billions of people agree that this finger, on this hand, should represent love and commitment? And the answer turns out to be far more fascinating than the myth. Let's start with what most people think the story is. Ask someone why wedding rings go on the left ring finger, and they'll usually mention the Romans. According to the story, the Romans believed in something called the vena amoris, Latin for the vein of love. They thought a vein ran directly from the fourth finger to the heart. And since the heart was seen as the center of love and emotion, placing a ring on that finger symbolized a connection between two hearts. Simple, romantic, perfect for a wedding tradition. Except it's not true. If you open an anatomy textbook, every finger connects to the same network of veins in the hand and arm. There's no special shortcut to the heart. The fourth finger isn't unique at all. So if the explanation isn't biological, why did people believe it? And why did the tradition survive for thousands of years? To understand that, we have to go even further back, before the Romans. Long before metal wedding bands existed, ancient Egyptians were already exchanging rings as symbols of commitment. But their rings weren't made of gold or diamonds. They were made from braided reeds, hemp, or leather, simple materials from everyday life. Yet the shape of the ring mattered deeply, because a circle has no beginning and no end. To them, it represented eternity, a love that never breaks, a promise that continues forever. And this idea, that a ring represents eternal commitment, spread across cultures as civilizations interacted and traded ideas. When the Romans eventually conquered Egypt, they adopted many Egyptian customs, including the tradition of giving rings to symbolize marriage. But the Romans added their own twist. They loved symbolism, especially when it connected the body and emotion. So the story of the vein of love began circulating. Whether people truly believed it or simply liked the romance of the idea, it stuck. And once an idea becomes tied to love and marriage, it tends to survive for a very long time. Then something else happened. Religion began shaping the tradition. During the Middle Ages in Europe, Christian wedding ceremonies started including the ring as a formal part of the ritual. But interestingly, the ring didn't always start on the fourth finger. In some ceremonies, the priest would touch 3 fingers in sequence while reciting, "In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit." Thumb, index finger, middle finger. Then finally, the ring would be placed on the fourth finger. And over time, that finger became the permanent home of the wedding ring. Not because of anatomy, not because of science, but because of ritual. Now here's where the story gets even more interesting. The left-hand rule isn't universal. In several countries, including Germany, Russia, Poland, and Norway, wedding rings are traditionally worn on the right hand instead. In some places, couples even switch hands during the wedding ceremony. The engagement ring might start on the left hand and move to the right after marriage, which tells us something important. There's nothing biologically special about the left hand. It's simply what became traditional in certain cultures. But one detail remains surprisingly consistent across the world. Even in cultures that use the right hand, the ring usually still goes on the fourth finger. Why? Because of something much less romantic, but very practical. The fourth finger is one of the least used fingers in daily life. Your thumb and index finger do most of the gripping. Your middle finger helps with strength and control. But the ring finger? It mostly just follows along, which makes it a convenient place to wear jewelry without constantly bumping or damaging it. It's protected between two other fingers, and it doesn't interfere much with everyday tasks. In other words, it's the most comfortable spot for a ring you're supposed to wear every day for the rest of your life. Once people got used to seeing wedding rings on that finger, something powerful happened. The meaning became visual. If you see a ring on someone's fourth finger, you instantly understand what it means. No explanation needed. And when a symbol becomes instantly recognizable, it reinforces itself. Each generation copies the last, not because they analyze the logic, but because it simply feels right. So the real story isn't about anatomy at all. It's about layers of history. Ancient Egyptians introduced the idea of rings as eternal symbols. Romans popularized the romantic myth of the vein of love. Christian ceremonies turned the ring into a sacred ritual. And everyday practicality made the fourth finger the easiest place to wear it. Over centuries, all those influences blended together into a single tradition. One small circle, one specific finger, one shared meaning. So when someone asks, why do we wear wedding rings on the left ring finger? The smarter answer isn't about veins or biology. It's about story. That tiny band of metal carries thousands of years of symbolism. Love, commitment, faith, tradition, and the quiet agreement between billions of people about what that symbol means. Because sometimes a tradition survives not because it's scientifically correct, but because it tells a story we want to keep believing. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like the video and subscribe to Ordinary Explained for more surprising stories hidden inside everyday things. And next time you look at a wedding ring, remember, you're not just looking at jewelry. You're looking at thousands of years of human history wrapped into a single circle.